You hear that? That's the sound of me clickety-clacking away at my controller. That's the sound of almost half the folks who game. Yet, sometimes in the middle of all the noise and voice chat, or scrolling through endless comments, it feels like my voice, a girl's voice, is the only one they're desperately trying to mute. You hear things like, "Get back to the kitchen," or "Girls can't play," or honestly, stuff that's much, much worse. A recent survey actually found that a shocking 49% of women gamers in the UK have faced online abuse. And that number, it skyrockets to an unbelievable 75% for women aged 18 to 24. 75%. Just let that number sink in for a second. This isn't some rare thing. For a lot of us, it's just, well, a typical Tuesday. But hold on, let me back up a bit. Before all that noise, before people started making assumptions, there was just the game. My love of gaming didn't kick off because I wanted to make a statement or rebel. No, it started with pure wonder. That glow of a screen in a dark room. The absolute thrill of a new world opening up right in front of me. The amazing feeling of beating a tough challenge. Whether I was carefully building a whole virtual life, planning with the team to grab that flag, or just getting lost in these epic stories that could give blockbuster movies a run for the money. Gaming was and still is my escape, my passion, my playground. I still remember the first time I really felt that spark. Maybe it was some clunky pixelated adventure game on our old family computer, or the incredible feeling when I finally beat a super hard level in a platformer after trying for weeks. Or maybe it was just the magic of exploring a massive open world for hours and hours. The feeling of accomplishment, of being whisked away somewhere else, of just pure, simple fun. That's what it's all about. That's the love I'm talking about. It's a love a lot of people share. Seeing as women now make up something like 45 to 46% of gamers across the globe. That's roughly 1.39 billion of us. We're not some tiny niche. We're nearly half the players out there. And my story, our stories, they deserve to be heard completely unfiltered. So you love games. Awesome. But then comes the interrogation. That moment your voice hits the mic in a random game lobby, or when you mention your hobby to new people. A girl gamer? Seriously? No way. The surprise, which is sometimes genuine, but often has a little bit of skepticism mixed in. And then the immediate assumptions that I must only play casual mobile games, that I'm just doing it for attention. Or my personal favorite, the assumption that I must be absolutely terrible at games. These stereotypes, they're relentless. Even though women are playing all kinds of games, from chill farming sims to intense competitive shooters and super complex RPGs, the default picture of a gamer is still overwhelmingly a guy. And if you don't fit that picture, you're seen as weird, or even worse, a fake. The media hasn't helped either, often showing female characters in games as either ridiculously over-sexualized or just damsels in distress, which, let's be honest, doesn't do much to change how people see actual women who play. It's like you're constantly being asked to show your gamer ID, to prove you even belong in a space you have every right to be in. I can't even count how many times I've been told I don't look like a gamer. Seriously? What does a gamer look like? Is there a uniform I missed? Does a love for complicated game mechanics or competitive play somehow show up on your face? This bias, this constant questioning, it's exhausting. It can really chip away at your confidence, make you start doubting your own passion. But that love for gaming, that's a stubborn little thing. Beyond just stereotypes, there's a darker side to all this. The kind that makes you pause before you even think about turning on your mic. The kind that makes some women use male-sounding usernames or skip voice chat completely just to get a little peace and quiet. I'm talking about harassment. And it's not just trash talk. It's targeted. It's about your gender, sexist comments, gross sexual remarks, threats of violence. It's like a constant barrage that so many of us have to deal with. Remember that 75% statistic for young women I mentioned? Well, around 80% of those abusive messages were sexual. This isn't about being too sensitive. It's about wanting to enjoy a hobby without being torn down or made to feel unsafe. I've had many skills totally dismissed mid-game just because I'm a woman. I've been hit with a flood of disgusting messages after a match. I've been told my opinion on a game doesn't count because, girl. There are days when it's just overwhelming. When all that negativity makes you just unplug, walk away. And some women do. And who can blame them? 1 in 10 women said that abuse made them feel unsafe. And a quarter felt depressed because of it. This is the unfiltered truth. Often hidden behind those bright screens and flashy gameplay is a daily challenge. A constant fight to just make a space where we can play. But hey, it's not all bad news. If it was, I wouldn't still be here, still playing, still loving it. Because for every toxic jerk, there's a chance to find something really amazing. Community. Finding your people out there in a huge world of online gaming is like stumbling upon a hidden treasure chest. There are some incredible supportive communities, forums where people share strategies and real friendships are made. I've found groups of other women gamers where we can just talk openly, laugh, and share what we've been through without worrying about being judged. These spaces are so important. They're like a sanctuary, a place to recharge, and a great reminder that you're not alone. A pretty huge 61% of female gamers are now active in gaming forums and discussion boards, making sure our voices are heard. My best gaming memories, they're not just about winning on my own. They're about those moments when you're in perfect sync with your team. The shared laughter over some ridiculous in-game bug, or that collective cheer when you finally take down that impossible boss together. These connections, these friendships, they're just as real and meaningful as any you make online. Platforms like Twitch and YouTube have given so many women the power to share their gameplay, their personalities, and build their own fantastic audiences, becoming visible role models for others. It's in these kind of places that the love for gaming really gets a chance to grow and shine. And speaking of community, if you're a girl who games and you've dealt with any of this, or if you're an ally who wants to help make gaming a better, more inclusive space, I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment below. What have your experiences been like? What awesome communities have you found? Let's share our stories and lift each other up. things are changing, even if it's a bit slow. The sheer number of women in gaming is impossible to ignore, and it's starting to make a real difference in the industry. We're not just players. We're also developers, journalists, content creators, esports pros, and leaders in the business. We're still underrepresented in pro sports and in-game development roles, for sure. But every single woman who steps into these fields helps make it easier for others to follow. Just think about well-known players like Sasha Scarlett Hostin, who's earned a ton in prize money and shown the world that skill has absolutely nothing to do with gender. These kinds of visible successes are so important. They show younger girls that a future in gaming, whether it's just for fun or as a career, is totally possible for them. We're also starting to see a change in how female characters are shown in some games. More strong, complex, and relatable women are taking the lead, like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. This kind of representation really matters. It shows the diversity of the people actually playing the games and gives more characters that women can connect with. Every time a game gives us diverse character options or a story that just doesn't make women the sidekick or the prize to be won, it's a step in the right direction. So many of us are fighting stereotypes just by showing up, by being visible, and by being good at what we love. So, what's my life really like as a girl who loves the game? Completely unfiltered. It's a total mix. It's that pure joy of nailing a perfect headshot, immediately followed by the frustration of a sexist comment just 10 seconds later. It's the warmth of a supportive message from a stranger on stream. Then the sting of being underestimated in the very next competitive match. It's the quiet happiness of getting lost in a single player story for hours, and the loud fun chaos of a co-op game with friends who just see me as another gamer, as equal. It's about learning to be resilient. It's about knowing when to hit mute, when to report someone, when to speak up, and when to focus on the game, and let your skills do the talking. It's about celebrating the good stuff and pushing against the bad. It's about underestimating that my presence, our presence, isn't something we need to justify or apologize for. The daily challenges are definitely there, and they're very real. For the little digs to the straight up harassment, it's an extra layer of difficulty that guys who game rarely, if ever, have to deal with in the same way. But the amazing communities, the real friendships, and just pure love of games themselves, those are the things that keep me and so many others logged back in. We're part of a community that's growing fast and changing, and we're actively challenging those old, tired narratives. The road to a gaming world that's truly inclusive and fair for everyone is still being paved. But every woman who shares her story, every player who stands up to toxicity, and get this, 71% of all gamers, men and women, say they've stepped in to stop abuse, helps clear that path. Being a girl who loves the game is sometimes frustrating and often totally exhilarating, and always an adventure. We're not just a number. We are a lively, essential part of the gaming world. Our stories are still being written. Our voices are getting louder. And you can't deny the impact we're having. Thanks for listening to my unfiltered journey. If any of this hit home for you, please give this video a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more stuff like this. Most importantly, keep playing. Keep sharing your experiences. And let's keep building a gaming world where everyone feels welcome to pick up a controller and join in the fun. Because gaming is for everyone. Period. Stay frosty.